Would you say that that's what energy work is doing? Is you're making a more of a conscious effort, I guess?
Absolutely. Well, I think your body's either making music or it's making noise.
Most people are very good about getting their cardiovascular exercise and they're getting their strength work and they know what to eat, but they skip that flexibility component because it's uncomfortable. So the kind of stretching that I do is one-on-one stretching. It's called practitioner-assisted stretching, and it's one-on-one.
So sacred geometry is really how everything in the universe is connected. We hear that we're all connected, but how? Yeah. And so when you use things like energy work, the harmonic egg, frequency, it basically reads, scans your body, and can find those imbalances in the body and go back and reharmonize so that all the cells are playing nice together.
Welcome to another episode of Real Talk Hilton Head, where we explore the rich lifestyle and philosophy of the Lowcountry. We're your hosts, David and Dale Cross. Today we're diving into the realm of health, wellness, and longevity with two remarkable guests who are experts in their field.
Our first guest is John Kubal. He's the founder of TheraFit. John specializes in rehabilitative exercise, stretching, and personal training. With a focus on helping clients achieve optimal physical health, John has made significant strides in the field of fitness, providing tailored programs that enhance flexibility, strength, and overall well-being.
Joining John is Shembra Carter, the visionary behind the equilibrium of the Lowcountry. Shembra is an expert in advanced healing energy, offering a holistic approach to wellness from within. Her unique patented chamber, the Harmonic Egg, is designed to promote mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual healing. Through her innovative techniques, Shembra has helped countless individuals achieve a balance of harmonious state of health.
Together, John and Shembra will share their insights and experiences, providing valuable tips and guidance on how to embrace a healthier and more fulfilling lifestyle here in the Lowcountry. So let's dive into their inspiring journeys and learn more about the transformative power of fitness, flexibility, and advanced energy healing. Welcome to Real Talk Hilton Head with David and Dale Cross, the real estate lifestyle podcast of Coastal Carolina.
Join us as we share stories from our community, insight into the local lifestyle, and the real scoop on real estate.
From market trends to home design, we dive deep into what it means to live and thrive here.
Discover the state of mind and philosophy of the Lowcountry that enriches life through personal growth, health and wellness, and human connection.
Whether you're a local or thinking of becoming one, we're here to guide you through the ins and outs of living this coastal escape.
Tune in, relax, and enjoy the conversation with Real Talk Hilton Head,
the podcast of Coastal Carolina. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
We're so excited to introduce John Kubal and Shembra Carter, two of our favorite people here on the island. Both of them have impacted our lives so much, and we cannot wait to share what you guys do here on the island with everybody.
And the impact you've had.
Yes. Can't wait to share that.
Yeah.
So
you want to start with John?
Sure.
We want to start with you, obviously, as your background in physical fitness and training. Share with us your journey into personal training, and let's dig a little deeper on we want to really talk about flexibility and stretching. Okay. So I think that's where we first met, was stretching.
Yes.
And then now you're our personal trainer.
Okay.
But the stretching, I remember the first time you stretched me, you're like, wow, you're tight.
Yeah. Yeah, you were.
The other one.
Well, how much time do you have?
All the time we need, John.
Well, I studied kinesiology at your favorite university, the University of Michigan.
Yeah.
And
I just threw up my mouth. Sorry.
And my first job was in physical therapy.
Okay.
I worked for an outpatient physical therapy practice in Atlanta, where I was the director of rehabilitative exercise, and so that's where I got my rehabilitative or therapeutic background. I worked there for a number of years. From there, I moved into corporate wellness with a gentleman that was a patient of mine that offered me a position to start a wellness program for his organization. After that, that's when I moved more into training. When I left there, I opened up a training facility in suburban Atlanta and ran that until my wife and I moved down here in 2017. When we first moved here, I thought I would do something similar to what I did there in the Savannah area, and found out very quickly that the Savannah area is not the best area, not the best demographic for what I do. So I started coming towards Hilton Head, and then found that this area is very good for what I do. And so,
That's an interesting point.
yeah.
That's kind of ties right into our show, right?
Mhm.
You know, it's real estate meets lifestyle. So you're saying, so what is it? Is it just the low country? Is it the demographics? Is it the people? You know, what is it about this area that makes it?
You know, what I found is that the people in Savannah were not really interested in their health and their fitness to the extent that the people here are. I've met a lot of people since moving here, and one of their goals moving here is that when they get here, they're really going to start focusing on their health and their fitness. That maybe they neglected it, working, trying to move down here, but they've told themselves when they move down here, I'm really going to start focusing on my health and fitness. So that's what I found. So I worked with somebody who enjoyed what I did very much, and I worked pretty much with stretching just with them. It was she and her partner, and we did a lot of therapeutic stretching. And after doing that for a number of months, she said, you know, this is a great idea for a business here in this area. She was a managing partner in a local fitness facility and thought this would be a great idea. And there really was nothing like that as of yet. And this was in 2017. And then so
It shocks me, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. Like stretching was like not like is it me, or is like stretching, should it be like foundational, or is it just an add-on?
Well, it's always been part of what I do with the people I work with. You know, you've got four components of fitness, right? You've got cardiovascular exercise, you have strength exercise, you have flexibility, and you have nutrition. And I've always preached that you have to get all four things working for you if you really want to be completely healthy and so and whole. And so flexibility is always something that I've done. So I had never really just focused on it, and that's what I did for a number of years with a local after we opened up the business. But in 2022, decided to venture out on my own, and so that's what I'm doing now. So
With TheraFit.
with TheraFit, yeah, the name of my company is TheraFit, and I enjoy it because I can work with each client individually and assess what they need, and if we need to focus more on strength work, we can do that. Flexibility, whatever it is that they need, that's what we focus on.
You know, and I think that's what I appreciate the most about our relationship. I mean, we've been with John for nearly 2 years now with personal training, and he's helped us come. You've helped us from leaps and bounds. I mean, when you first met us, you were so gentle. Push-ups, I couldn't quite get to 10, but you encouraged me to get there. But you know, and then what I love about just coming to you each week is I don't have to think about it. I literally know that you know what I need, exactly what you said, and you change it up so frequently for us. And you push us when we need push, and when we're hurting, you can see that too. So you kind of back off, and we're like, oh, John was nice today. Thank you.
Well, sort of that.
Yeah.
We're all very sorted.
I do want to drill down though on this topic of stretching.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's, for most people, at least for me, stretching was kind of like, you know, the things you did like pre-baseball game, just a little bit of toe touches and stuff like that.
Right.
But what you're talking about is not just your everyday. I remember the first time I walked into your business, I saw this table and I saw the straps, and I thought, what am I getting myself into?
Right. Right.
So let's drill down a little bit too for people when you talk about flexibility, because I look at a guy like, say, Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Played 22 years, 23 years in the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
a high level position. And his number one attribute, he says, is because of flexibility.
That's right.
That's
That's right.
what his longevity was attributed to.
Yeah.
So drill down a little bit more so that the audience can understand. When you say stretching, it's really
Right.
It's
deeper
deep
than
tissue.
they may
It's
be
deep.
thinking.
Well, what we most of us, particularly if we played sports growing up, we are all taught to stretch, right? Coach or the gym teacher in middle school, the football coach in high school, we were all taught to stretch. Unfortunately, most of us were taught the wrong way, right? We were all taught to stretch too fast, to hold the stretches too long, and then to hold them to bounce. And so unfortunately, most people they associate it was painful, right? So most people associate stretching with discomfort, so they don't do it. Most people are very good about getting their cardiovascular exercise and they're getting their strength work and they know what to eat, but they skip that flexibility component because it's uncomfortable. So the kind of stretching that I do is one-on-one stretching. It's called practitioner assisted stretching, and it's one-on-one. So my clients just simply relax on a comfortable table, and then I do the work. Um, um, the thing about stretching is that there's a number of different components to it. There's a curative approach component. So if you have musculoskeletal or soft tissue injuries, flexibility training, stretching can help cure that, right? Help cure that. So there's a curative component. Then there's a preventative component as well. So the more flexible you are, the more you're going to prevent injuries from occurring in the first place. You mentioned Tom Brady. Great school, by the way. Went to University of Michigan.
That
Can have trouble. That can just go. That can go by.
But
Oh wait. We're gonna every time you say that, we're gonna put of one is
the goat. But there was one of my clients in Atlanta was a all pro offensive lineman named Eric Beverly, and I worked with him all summer for a couple summers at the end of his career, just on flexibility. And here was somebody who was 6'6", about 305 pounds, and he played 15 years in the NFL, never had an injury.
wow.
And he attributed that to flexibility training. And and here's somebody who was down in the trenches and banging heads
So
with
what
with big guys.
exactly is it though that it's doing for the body? Like, what I mean? Because you can be big, strong, like you said, eat right.
Right.
What is the flexibility actually doing for the body?
Well, flexibility makes the body more resilient,
Okay.
right? So for instance, let's take the knee for example. Okay, the knee is you have all the muscles that support the knee. You have 3 muscles in the hamstring. You have the 4 muscles in the quadriceps, and you have the calves. Right, all those muscles either have their origin or insertion around the knee.
Okay.
If those muscles are tighter than they should be, your knee is not going to function properly as it should. So when you take out onto the baseball field or the football field,
Or pickleball.
or pickleball courts, or tennis, or golf,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and you move quickly, and you move in such a way that it's a jerky, quick motion. If you're not as flexible as you should be, well, where's the stress going to go? It's going to go to the joint.
Got it.
So that's when you develop, muscle tears, muscle strains, and ligament issues as well. So, but and then the last component I wanted to talk about flexibility was performance, right? So the more flexible you are, the better you're going to perform. Right now, performance could mean a number of things. It could be playing higher level golf. It could be playing higher level pickleball. It could also be being able to go out and mow your yard and do an afternoon of yard work without having soreness the next day.
Or
So,
biking. Because how
exactly.
many people come here
Yeah.
and they buy their bikes
Mhm.
and then they realize we can't bike like I thought I
That's
could,
right.
right?
Well, I
That's right.
definitely know when I've worked out hard and you've come and stretched us, because John will come to your house or you can meet at the office. It's made such a big difference. I mean, within a couple hours, I feel like I'm back to normal almost.
Mhm.
Just being stretched out and my muscles feel
That's
like they
right.
should. All that stiffness, lactic acid,
And
you
that's
know?
that's my what I was restore, perform, and prevent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what.
but
Yeah.
I
Right.
love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, so we're going to go back and forth here. So we're
Okay.
going to kind of let this go. Now we want to bring in Shembra.
Yes.
So you have a question for Shembra?
Shembra, for those who are not familiar, can you explain what energy work is and how it benefits overall well-being? Sure. So, because that's quite a big
It-
energy work.
Yeah, that's a big topic. So I think we have to get past the fact that our body is just physical, right? We are energy, pure energy, exactly. So when you think about energy, frequency, vibration, and the cells and the molecules in our body, they're spinning, they're oscillating, they're vibrating. Our DNA sheds photons, which is light, and that's energy. It absorbs photons, which is light. There's an electromagnetic field around us all the time. So, in fact, we're all sitting in each other's energy right now.
Yeah.
And so, people are like, well, I don't see it, but it's measurable. You think about the wind. You don't see wind. You see the trees blowing, but you don't see the wind, right? But that's energy. So it's the same thing with our subtle body, our energy body. We're not just physical. We are this layers of energy,
Yeah.
which has been measured by scientists. And so when you have practitioners like a Reiki practitioner or an acupuncturist or you do Qigong, what are you doing? You're manipulating that energy field that's around you. And so how does it benefit you? So when you manipulate that energy field, it's going to trickle down into the physical body. And so we can have changes on a physical level, on a cell level, on a DNA level when you manipulate your energy field.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating because when you say energy, right? And I can only imagine if somebody's never heard of it. Like, remember the first time, I think you brought me the harmonic
I
egg.
did.
I'm
You usually
thinking,
bring him all these
I
fun
thought,
things.
like,
Yeah,
where are we going?
sure.
But I think what you just said too is it's funny because science now, right? Quantum
Quantum
physics
physics.
is really
Yes.
telling us that matter isn't matter.
Right. Mhm.
It is all energy,
Yeah.
and that this isn't some kooky, crazy thing, that
Right.
this is a real thing. And I think one of the things that we always talk about, we were just talking about with one of our friends about the reality of energy. Like if somebody's really upset and they walk into the room, you know it.
You
Right.
feel it
And they would be like,
straight
"Hey, are
away.
you okay?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But it's like, how do you know it? Well,
How
you
do you
know
know?
it because they're emanating that
That
Correct.
field.
frequency, yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
great.
So a lot of times people think that our thoughts come from our brain, but it actually comes from that energy field. Our brain just interprets the information.
Mm.
And so that energy
Okay.
field is what you're reading. Our fields interact with each other
Okay.
on so many levels, on an energetic level, on a hormonal level.
Yeah.
All kind of things are being transferred, and through the chakra system as well.
Yeah.
So
I'll feel my love energy right
I'm
now.
sure she does. Yeah. But you're right. So we are able to, on a subconscious level, pick up on people's energy, the vibe.
Yeah. It's
You
about
read the room, right? You read the vibe of the room. And so that is a real thing. But yes, quantum physics is really tapping into that field and measuring that.
So how did you get started in that? Like what brought you to this?
Through the harmonic
Yeah,
egg. I
yeah.
think after 20 years in nursing, I got really tired of just seeing people put a band-aid on a severe problem. And so I went searching for something different. I felt like there had to be other modalities out there that could help people, truly help people get to the root cause
Yeah.
of their disease and illness and not just take a medication and take a prescription. And so I think my journey started maybe 10 years ago when I began to really just dive into my own personal health and look at things like my own awareness, my own consciousness, my how I was feeling and sensing my own world, my circumstances, my situation. And so as I started to kind of go down that, I ran into this subscription TV called Gaia, which is sort of a metaphysical, sort of esoteric topics. And they had a video on there healing the body with frequencies.
Okay.
With a woman named Regina Meredith. She has a show called Open Minds, and Gail Lynn, the inventor of the Harmonic Egg.
Okay.
I watched the show and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Healing the body with frequencies. That's kind of cool. Let me
Yeah.
check this out. So within a week of watching that, I flew to Colorado and got into the egg and bought one and really changed my life in about 7 days.
It did.
Yeah, it did.
Took you from one
changed
field to a whole
a whole
different.
nother field. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was ready. I was ready for a change. And this was the perfect transition into doing something different and still be able to help people.
So we've mentioned the harmonic egg. What is the egg?
Well,
Yeah.
before we go down that,
Okay.
can I touch base on because you triggered me with something? Because the word disease, right?
Mhm.
And it was funny because the guy I watched that channel as well, like Dr. Bruce Lipton. I'm
Yes.
sure you're familiar with him.
Absolutely.
And Joe Dispenza.
Sure.
Yeah.
And who's the other? Oh, Greg Braden.
Greg Braden.
And I think it was Dr. Lipton one time. He says, if you think about the word disease, what is it? Dis-ease.
Disease in the body.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that it's a person who's in dis-ease over a long period of time and never gets it into harmony.
Right.
And then the cells respond to it.
Absolutely.
And so, would you say that that's what energy work is doing?
Sure.
Is you're making a more of a conscious effort, I guess?
Absolutely. Well, I think your body's either making music or it's making noise, right?
I like that.
Wow.
Making music or making noise.
We need to have that on the that's an official Real Talk slogan.
There you go.
It's either say that again?
Your body's either making music or it's making noise.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's a great line.
So, yes. So when you get in harmony, in tune, because every organ in your body has what's called a PRF, a prime resonant frequency, in which it's operating at its optimum. Your liver, your lungs, your spleen, all that. Absolutely. And so when your body is out of tune, out of frequency, those organs and the cells in the organs start to dysregulate. They become imbalanced. And so when you use things like energy work, the harmonic egg frequency, it basically scans your body and can find those imbalances in the body and go back and reharmonize so that all the cells are playing nice together again.
Now you can go to your question because that's good.
Because this is what the egg does, right?
That's what the egg
That's
does.
what the egg does.
Yes.
So there's a perfect segue.
So yes,
into
the harmonic
tell
egg.
us
It
about
is
the egg.
a resonance chamber that's actually the shape of an egg. It's a huge wooden, and it's made out of wood.
Okay.
So it's all natural. It's a live, living technology that uses sound waves of musical instruments, frequency, vibration, and light
Yeah.
to balance your body. It really basically balances your autonomic nervous system. It takes us out of fight or flight, which we're all in, especially if you drive down 278. You're in fight or flight.
Especially
Like, damn. Do something. Holding on like this.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's gonna balance your autonomic nervous system, take you out of that state, put you in a state of rest, digest, rejuvenation. And in that state is the only state your body can heal and repair itself. Your body cannot heal in a state of stress when your cortisol levels are too high and your adrenals are burned out. You're not going to heal.
No.
There's no way.
Yeah.
No way. So the body, is very intuitive and it's very intelligent, and it innately can heal itself under the right conditions. And so the harmonic egg is not a cure for anything. So I do want to preface that. It's a tool that you use to help. So to facilitate your body's natural ability to heal itself.
Yeah, so it's really more of a journey for the individual. Because as we're talking to the two of you, physical, material and energy, and it's components of the journey, right? It's
Absolutely.
components that the individual has to choose to say, hey,
You're going to work on both areas.
Mhm.
Yeah. Multiple areas.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Well, physical, the stretching, John, he's an energy worker.
Yeah.
He's working on your energy field. Absolutely. So they're all tied together.
So is that why I'm so exhausted then today?
Absolutely.
Taking on everybody's energy?
100%.
Well,
No,
that's a real
100%.
thing.
No, Jim.
No, that's
100%.
no joke because
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
even in our business,
Mhm.
you are exchanging all day long and you come in a lot of different vibrations.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. A lot of different, mental, it's funny because a lot of people don't pay attention to
They
it.
don't.
Yeah.
They're just on cruise control.
Yeah.
But you feel it, when you're with them. Yeah,
Yes.
all day long.
Yeah.
And
Energy.
so, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you need to get in the egg, my friend.
Yeah. You do. That will it clears your energy field so that when you come out, you are centered and grounded in your energy and your energy alone. Because like I said
See, I
before,
never understood that. So
Yeah.
that's a great point. So you're centered in your own
own energy.
See, which makes sense because if I come in and I say I'm off, you help me balance,
Yeah.
right? But I never thought about balancing back to my own energy.
Your own energy. Because of
Okay,
what I
'cause
just
you
said,
ended
the
up.
energy fields right now are commingling. All this information is being exchanged. And sometimes
Yeah.
things can get hung up in our field that doesn't belong to us, which is why sometimes, John, when you go home and you're wiped out, it's because there's things in your field that don't belong to you. You could have a client that could have had an argument with their spouse and they're coming and they're mad,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden they leave and you're mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
you're like,
because
why?
why am I mad? It's because there's fragments of their energy field that's caught in yours.
So
Mhm.
is there a way not to let like especially for these guys that deal a lot and
Mhm.
myself that deal a lot with people? I mean, how do you
Yeah,
kind of resist that?
I think a lot of energy workers will sort of say a protection prayer, if
Okay.
you will. You can set the intention. Intentions are very powerful. And when you go to work with a client, you set the intention that no energy from theirs can commingle with mine, and whatever's in their highest good, we're going to let that be done today.
Okay.
And so that there's a clear intention and a boundary that's being drawn, an energetic boundary,
Mhm.
because that's a thing.
So if I
Energetic
say,
boundary.
okay, I'm not letting anything come in my field, it won't.
Right. You set the
Okay.
intention.
Because we allow it in or out.
Yes, but on a subconscious level. It's not a conscious thing that we choose.
Oh, sorry.
Put your paper.
Yep. Sorry.
Sorry, edit, cut it.
My bad.
No, the paper was in
Yeah.
the view.
In the
Edit
shot.
it out.
Sorry about
No
that.
biggie.
Hey, we're a work in progress, people. But
So good.
yeah, and I think if I could touch on this, I
Yeah.
think this is a very important point, is that intention, there's a responsibility we have to take, right? To whether it's working out, whether it's, stretching, working out, fitness, food, energy work, that we have to kind of take responsibility, right? To say, I'm aware. I think a lot of it we're not aware.
Wow, that's the first step.
For a lot of
I'm
people,
aware.
they may not even know this is a thing, but
Right.
then when they're aware of it, like, okay, now I have a consciousness of it. Now I have to live consciously. Like, I have to approach each day with this sense of, okay, these are the pitfalls I could encounter, and I can do something about it, though. It's kind of empowering to me, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a victim out here, life's just happening. I can actually participate and watch, and make my life
I think that's
better.
what hit me when you said you balancing yourself and you can put your boundaries
Yes.
on it. I'm like, okay, that makes perfect sense. I
Yes.
can't put my boundaries on that, and
Right.
they cannot come into my field.
Right. And that's what I tell people when they leave.
Yeah.
You're in your own energy now. Protect that bubble that you've created.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And what I love too, this is the other thing. Every time we come in, you ask, so what are you dealing with today?
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Is
then
it?
explain a little bit how the music and the lights,
Yeah.
like, it's not just, it's kind of, you specialize, if you will, for the individual.
Yes.
Much like you said, you
That
individualize
was
it.
my question. Yeah.
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 That, I've come in in many states. Shembra, what do you feel today? Well, do you really want to know? But
Is your energy field protected?
she's nailed it, though. You'll pick something, but that the inventor, go into some detail about the
Mhm.
music isn't just some random playlist off Spotify. That
Yeah.
there's a lot goes into this.
Correct. Yeah. So she has probably over 20 years of research into sound and light and specific instruments and what it does for the body. Because different instruments are going to correlate with different organs in the body, as well as your different chakras and different levels of consciousness. So the flute is really good at healing the liver, okay, where we store anger and resentment. Drumming is really good for boosting the immune system and for lower back pain. So there's over 70 different tracks that I can choose from. And again, it's intention based. It's all based on your intention. I have some people who come in who, they have a lot of anxiety and stress. And so I would play something very gentle, use the piano. The piano resets the nervous system. If you've got lower back pain or a lot of chronic pain, I'm going to pick something like the didgeridoo, which is a long wind instrument used by the Aborigines 40,000 years ago to heal bones. So I'm going to pick something that's a little more aggressive, that really gets into the body, into the tissues, into the muscle, into the myofascia. So it's very much chosen based on your state of being when you walk in the door, and it's different every time, as you know.
Yeah.
So we know that frequency obviously is you choosing the type of frequency and type of music, but explain how that is used within the egg.
So the egg again is made out of wood, and it's made out of it's made out of sacred geometry, and I can go into that a little bit if you
Yeah,
want me
go
to.
ahead. Yeah, let's do that.
So sacred geometry is really how everything in the universe is connected. We hear that we're all connected, but how? So if you think about the Fibonacci sequence, that golden mean ratio, it's that spiral of life. You think about the spiral of a galaxy, the spiral of a hurricane, the spiral of your inner ear, the spiral of a conch shell, the spiral of a sunflower, the spiral of a fetus. That 1.61 ratio shows up over and over again from the macrocosm to the microcosm. That is not by mistake. That is by design, right? Someone, something, God, creator, source created this. So the egg is made with that golden mean ratio. It is a spiral shape. And so when you bring that spiral with sound and light and vibration, which is what we are, it's what everything is, it creates this very mystical, magical container where we're working in realms of energy, that quantum field that's outside of our conscious awareness. And again, science, we talk about science, really hasn't caught up with mysticism, although quantum physics is getting close. They're tapping into that field, recognizing that we're all connected. And so when you bring those forces together, you can't have you have this beautiful healing modality that people get into, and you are inside that wooden chamber, and it creates this reverberation off of those wood panels, and this vortex of energy just starts to spin, which you are the sole recipient of that as you're lying back in that zero gravity chair. And so it really just comes in and affects you on a physical level, on an emotional level, and on a spiritual level. It is mind, body, spirit.
It is. I mean, I can definitely testify to when we go. I mean, you have the music for 50 minutes?
It's a 50-minute session. There's 40 minutes of the music and 10 minutes of complete silence.
Well, that complete silence, I mean, the first time I sat in the egg, literally I felt like my cells were vibrating, and you can feel the vibration of the music still bouncing off of the walls. It just affects you in a way that you have to experience. I mean, but 10 minutes is something magical. If there's no sound, but yet there's sound, and the atmosphere is full of this vibration and this energy.
So, David, you can sit for 10 minutes?
Believe it or not, when I'm in the egg, now, no joke. So the first time I went, and I got to admit, I'm going to touch on two things with it. First time I went, I was a little skeptical. I would say not skeptical, but I was kind of like, okay, this is Mork from Mork, like, and if you see the video, that'll pop up because everybody who's my age or older will know. But the first time I hear what is that thing you ding again? It's a
crystal chime at the
crystal
end.
chime.
Yeah.
So I just remember getting in the egg, and all of a sudden the crystal chime, and I'm like, it was like 4 minutes. I was like, I'm on, and she's like, no, and I look, it's an hour later. I like disappeared. Like literally, you lose time, and I felt noticeably different. I mean, it definitely, at a core level, like it was like, wow, like and I felt peaceful. Like I can, I'm in a high anxiety job sometimes, and everything. And so I definitely carry that a lot of times. And I know that first time I was like, wow, like, and I want to lead into this because you'd mentioned a couple things like source, God, and I want to encourage anybody who's listening because I know that this is going to come up. Gail and I are Christians, and I know John's Christian, but it's not a religious thing. Because all religions, honestly, have a mystical aspect. The Sufis, the Christian mystics, the Essenes, whatever it is, there is a side that talked about this aspect of the human being. Yes. And that's what we are. And so I would encourage anybody who's listening, if don't get hung up on that aspect, because this isn't about a religious thing. This is about humanity. You're a human being. This is how you're created. Yeah. This is the design of everybody. Yeah. And science is telling us, to your point, quantum physics is now admitting matter isn't matter. Right. Matter is energy. Matter is energy. And that there's no such thing as matter really, and which is kind of weird when you knock on the table, right? Yeah. It's a strange thing.
But to your point, yes, I've had people call and ask specifically that because we are in the South, and and people are very religious, and I respect obviously all religions and believe that there is a God. So I feel like with the egg, it's more about the vibration of love, the vibration of authenticity, and the vibration of integrity.
Yeah.
And music is a universal language, and
Yeah.
so it has really nothing at all to do with religion at all.
And ultimately, love is the highest attainment of any religion.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can become love, and you can vibrate in that love and
Yeah.
you become a different person.
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
Wow.
And we're just
That's good
and
stuff.
it's just music. I mean, it's music and wood.
Yeah.
So unless your religion has a bone to pick with wood and the guitar,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there is one.
Or just make sure people know, because I get it. We're all kind of guarded and nobody wants to be led down anything, but but this is real. This is real, and then we've really experienced it, and which is why we're having it on the show. Like we've really experienced the benefits of stretching and wellness and fitness and nutrition. We've really experienced the benefits of energy work. And I feel like, as I get older, I feel like I'm getting wholer. That's the
And
thing.
that's the journey, though.
Mhm.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Is you want to be whole. So all these aspects are
Mhm.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think that's what's missing in the allopathic medicine, the whole body.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
don't look at the mind, body, and spirit. And
Yeah.
luckily I've had the pleasure of seeing it all the way through. Initially when I got out of college, I have a degree in psychology. So I was working with people in their mind, right?
Yes.
And then for 20 years, I dealt with the physical, the body, and now energy work, spirit. So I've seen mind, body, spirit, and how you cannot address one without addressing all three. And to be whole, you have to be working on all three of those components, or you
Well,
just won't heal.
And what the audience doesn't know, whoever's listening or watching, is that those 20 years of the medical was spent, a lot of it with hospice, and you've seen literally thousands of people cross
Correct.
over.
That's correct.
So how do you have that experience where you see a physical body, where the life essence, the breath leaves,
Yes.
Yeah.
physical matter stays, but that person left, and well, how do you explain that?
Mhm.
And
You're transformed.
you're transformed.
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
do. I do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think I can see how that all together. I mean, that's not a lot of experience that we would all have.
Right.
So to be able to bring that together is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been very
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, let's get back to John here.
Yes.
So, John, one of the things that we wanted to talk about is you'd mentioned multiple times you have clients that are training into their 90s, right?
My oldest client currently is 91 years old.
Wow.
91 years old. So
Wow.
I want to
91
touch
years old.
base on that because, one of the things I get from a lot of our clients, we obviously do a lot of work in the 55 plus active adult community.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get a lot of people, they're in their 60s and you hear them say, oh, if I got 10 or 15 years, and I'm always like, no, like
Champion.
Yeah.
Well, there's a
Yeah.
lot more than that.
So,
Yeah.
talk about like, what is it that what makes them different? What is the approach? Is there anything that you see in these individuals, and even if they're not in their 90s, but you see them beyond 70? Like I play
Mhm.
tennis with 77-year-olds, 81-year-olds, and they're kicking my butt.
Yeah.
And like, so what do you see that they have that's different from the rest?
First off, I would say that my average client here on the island is around 70 years old, late 60s, 70 years old. So seems to be the sweet spot. Now, I'll start by saying that I've seen a familiar theme over and over again since I've moved here, and it's this: people work their entire professional life with the goal of retiring to the lowcountry.
Yeah.
They want to retire to the lowcountry, and so they work hard. They work hard, whatever job it is that they're doing, with the goal, the idea of at 65, 60 years old, I'm going to be able to retire down there, and then I'm really going to enjoy myself.
Live life
I'm
then.
going to live life. When I move down there, that's when I'm going to start exercising. That's when I'm going to start
Playing golf.
playing golf, playing tennis. I'm going to do it every single day. But unfortunately, what happens is that people neglect their health and their fitness to such an extent that when they get down here, they find that they can't play golf every day, or they can only play 9 holes instead of 18. That they have a difficult time playing tennis because they have achy joints and they hurt. So here they are at 60, 65 or older trying to play catch up,
Yeah.
right? They're trying to play catch up. And so it's very, very difficult, but they do. But the difference, the ones that I see that are so successful are the ones obviously are proactive, right? They're proactive, and they take advantage of what this area has to offer in terms of being outside and enjoying, whether it's walking on the beach or Pinckney Island that you guys like to go to, or so they're outside and they're active and they're not necessarily in the gym hammering away 3-4 days a week,
Yeah.
but they're being active on a regular basis,
Yeah.
whether it's walking or playing pickleball or playing golf or playing tennis. And then, the self-care comes in, going to the gym, going to the office, things like that. But no, they're very active, and they're very proactive about their health and their fitness.
Okay.
Those are the people. The client that I was speaking of, 91 years old. It happens on a regular basis. People will come up to him when we're in the facility together working out, and people will say, "You're such an inspiration. You're such an inspiration. Tell me, what is the key?"
Yeah.
And he always says the same thing. He always says, "Just don't stop.
Mm,
Just don't stop."
yeah.
Yep.
And
That is the key.
that's his advice to him. Just don't stop.
Yeah.
So you don't stop for 3-4 years and then try to pick up again. He says, 'cause then it's much more difficult. So that's always his advice, is just don't stop.
And I would add in, don't do Bloody Marys and bowling on Monday and then Margarita Tuesday. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah,
That's a tempting thing when you come here, right?
my experience, and again, this is what clients have told me, is that we get a lot of part-time residents,
Yeah.
and I've had a number of clients tell me that they have to leave in the summer so they can dry out.
Yeah.
So they can dry out. Because it doesn't matter what day it is or what time of day it is, someone's going to throw a drink in your hand.
Yeah.
Wherever you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And I think
Island time, right? They talk about island time.
And it's just so beautiful. It's like, oh, I'd love to have a glass of wine overlooking marsh, or, it's always easy to do.
That's right.
again, for those who are watching or listening, we're guilty.
Tuesday, wine Wednesday.
Wine Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
That's right. That's right.
Well, there's a balance to it, though. We'll go 3 or 4 or 5 days a week or whatever of water detox. Just so you're right. It's don't stop. Put in the holistic approach, and you can enjoy it. But I've just noticed there's some clients. It's like they're freshman year of college right now. Very tired.
That is.
You're not 18 again, But
And that happens a lot. I think people initially, when they first move down here, because it is such a fantastic lifestyle, and you just have to pinch yourself that that you get to wake up where you wake up every day, and even your drive or your commute, you're going over a bridge, looking at the sound, or it's just beautiful. So initially, a lot of people dive into that lifestyle, but eventually, inevitably, you always have to back off, right?
yeah. Well, and I think actually that's a good segue, right, into where real estate meets lifestyle, right? So, what from Shembra, we'll go to you. What about the Low Country? Well, first of all, how did you end up here, and what do you love about being here? Do you love being here? Do you love Low Country? And if you do, you better.
I'm going to make a lot of people mad, right?
Let's talk about that a little bit, about life here and what does it offer. And
Yeah. So I've been here for actually since out of college. So it's about 25 years or more, probably 30 now. I'm giving my age away. Probably 30 years. I moved here right out of college because my parents moved to Beaufort while I was in college, and I would come for the summer and visit. And I thought I would never want to live there. I never want to live there. But then I got a job on Hilton Head right out of college, and I worked at the Westin at the bar, and waiting tables. And I'm like it. And then I met a boy. You know how that is when you're young and you're 20, and so then I ended up staying, and I just fell in love. Obviously, how can you not fall in love with the Low Country? It's just so healing. There's something very healing about the land, even.
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
I think.
Well, that was one of the things that we fell in love with.
Yeah.
We just felt it was I won't say majestic, mystical. That's the word that I was looking for.
Yeah.
When we first moved here, we really felt it was mystical. There was something different about this region.
Yeah, and it is. It's the vibration.
Yes,
it's the vibration.
that's what it is.
And it's on a ley line, and so ley lines are very important electromagnetically.
What's a ley line?
Ley lines. So they're just lines in the earth, in the grid, and they're electromagnetic, like vortexes almost, where there's a lot of energy there in that space.
So we're on
a ley line, and so that creates a lot of energy and people feel that when they come. Sure.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What is that?
Well, and I think too, there's oftentimes like at the baseball field, right? Went for a walk yesterday while Shallow was practicing, and it's just this lush. Like if you didn't know any better, you're thinking in a Costa Rican jungle.
Yeah.
Like walking back through a baseball field, and in the middle of
There's
the
a forest behind the baseball field.
Well, but I love it because I feel like the area, the way they developed it, they've been very on purpose about like, hey, we're not going to just strip everything down and throw up concrete everywhere. And when you're walking around everywhere you go, there's so much life and, to your point, energy everywhere.
Energy everywhere.
Everything's alive.
Yeah. Well, and nature is healing. We know that, right? The sound of birds, the sound of crickets. I mean, they've studied the frequency, the sound of honeybees. They study the frequency of these insects and birds and things, and see that it has a physiological response to your body.
Yeah.
So it makes sense when you're in a place like this where they haven't put concrete over everything. Yeah, you're going to feel different because you're in nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, John? What's your backstory?
My wife and I, we raised our family in suburban Atlanta.
Okay.
Great place to raise kids. My wife is a teacher, so she taught at one of the best systems in the Atlanta area, Gwinnett County. It was a great place to raise kids, good schools, safe. But then when we got our youngest in college, Ginger said, "We need to get out of here."
Yeah.
She had always wanted to live on the coast, and so I believe she saw an article in Southern Living magazine, and it was the top 10 small towns to live, and number one was Beaufort. So she said, let's go look at Beaufort. And so we took a weekend, 3-day weekend, and we came to Beaufort and looked around and thought it was fantastic. Really enjoyed the Low Country. She's still teaching, so it did not work out to be a place where she would want to teach. So that's when we migrated towards Savannah. And she taught at Richmond Hill there. And you talk about positive energy. Well, we lived in a place south of Savannah called Sunbury. Beautiful place, but it did not have positive energy. It's called the ghost town of Georgia for a reason. It had been destroyed during the Revolutionary War. It had been destroyed during the Civil War, and then all the residents died from yellow fever, etc. So there's a lot of negative energy there. So anyways, that's when we moved here. So we have to pinch ourselves every day when we wake up here. And you talk about this place being alive. We have a place on the marsh, and it literally, the marsh, if I always say to my wife that if we stop doing anything, the marsh would grow over our house within a very short period of time.
Yeah.
There's every manner of critter. I mean, there's alligators behind our house. There's deer. We're pulling raccoons out of our home. So there's all manner of animals
everywhere.
No, but it is And we live very close to Mitchellsville too.
Okay.
And when you talk about
History.
history and
Yes.
energy and whatnot, that's a great place to be.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people don't know too. What I found fascinating was 65% of the marshland is
Yes.
in this coastal area here, South Carolina and Georgia, and you say that and people can't really appreciate it until you understand how much life, when that ocean comes in
Yeah.
and brings all that life and
Mm-hmm.
nutrients to it, and then it leaves, and then all that life that's taking place.
That's what brought us here. I
Yeah.
mean, we were sitting in the pool overlooking the marsh
Yeah.
in sea pines, and we looked at each other and said, "Why are we not here?" Like
Yeah.
seriously, all the birds, all the wildlife that was coming off the marsh. You don't realize how alive it is.
Mm-hmm.
That was why we moved here. Same thing, that energy.
Yeah.
But it's very harmonious
Yeah.
as well. All the life together, it's everything has been here much longer than we have,
Yes.
and they have a dance and a harmony to
Yeah.
to life here. And I think one of the things that makes Hilton Head so special is that they have created it in such a way that doesn't disturb that harmony.
Yeah. And you get a lot of people that might complain about that, but you have to appreciate it. Once you're here, you say, okay, I get why we don't have towers everywhere and they haven't, why isn't this here and why isn't that there? Well, if you want that, go to where it's at.
Mhm.
Here, you're coming here for something different. I
Mhm.
remember just being down at the ocean about a week ago and talking about harmony, and I hadn't been down in a while. And I love this time of year because the sea oats are like blonde and they're just glistening. But I came down and at first it looked like the ocean was wild a little bit, like, because sometimes it's just flat,
Yeah.
but it was just the waves, the little white caps. And I thought, oh, it's a little wild today. But then I went down, I sat down, sat in my chair, and I just closed my eyes. And then all of a sudden, I felt it wasn't wild. It was a very gentle, harmonious, and it just gave me so much peace. And what felt so active, I realized it wasn't active. I was active. I was kind of disheveled or whatever it was. And then when I sat down next to it, I started getting into its rhythm and realizing, oh, you're actually just it was beautiful waves and it was very calming and it was very, and I love that because you have, whether it's the ocean, whether it's the creeks, the marsh, just walking through, Picnic Island or any of the conservancies.
If you think about the amount of water that's around us, right? That's why there's that vibration, and we're made up of 70% water.
Yeah.
So of course we're going to resonate to that.
Absolutely.
We had family in town this past weekend, and it was so nice because we were able to do different things on different days, but yet stay very close to home. So the first day we went to Islanders Beach, and had a great time. Weather was perfect, of course, and then the next day we wanted to pick it up a little bit, so we went to Coligny and went down in front of Tiki Hut.
So when
And
you
so,
say kick it up, explain what that is.
well, Coligny is, I guess, what you would refer to maybe as Hilton Head's downtown.
Down.
Mhm.
If Hilton
Yeah.
Head is a downtown, it's Coligny.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so the beach is different. There's a different crowd. It's a little younger. I think a lot of people, when they come to Hilton Head for the day, that's where they go.
Yeah.
As opposed to Islanders, where you have mostly all residents.
Yeah.
But Coligny, it's a different vibe and it's fun.
Yeah.
And my girls were here, and so they're younger, so I think they appreciated that. And then the next day, we went out to Fish Hall and Mitchellsville at low tide,
Yeah.
and saw all kinds of wildlife, bald eagles, it's just, everything. So it's just, and it's all within a very short distance from our home. And it's
Yeah.
just incredible.
Yeah, it is actually.
It is.
All right, Crossy, what do you got there?
So kind of diverting back
Yeah.
to it, there was one question I wanted to ask you guys. I'll start with you, Shembra. Could you share an interesting story or an inspiring story from one of your clients
Yeah.
that an experience they've had
Mhm.
with the egg?
Gosh, there's so many. I wouldn't even know where to begin with this because, coming from nursing again and seeing people just taking medication and not getting better, and then coming into the egg where, no one has come out of the egg and saying, hated that.
Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah, that was terrible. I never want to do that again. Yeah, I've never had that. But, I've had the pleasure of working with young kids with ADHD and autism, kids that are on the spectrum do really well in the egg, especially
Really?
for,
Okay.
oh yeah, parents who don't want to maybe medicate their kids.
Yeah.
There's a lot of side effects with that. They'll bring them to the egg and they're doing very well. It just again, it balances
Balancing.
that nervous system,
Yeah.
puts them in their own energy so that when they go into the classroom, they're not as hyper.
That's
So
fascinating.
that's been a really beautiful thing to see, especially the kids on the spectrum. They resonate really well with the egg. They love it. I have people that come in who have autoimmune disorders that are feeling better and less fatigued and less pain. People with chronic pain, people with depression that are getting off their depression meds and anxiety meds.
Whoa.
So, I mean,
You've
it's,
had people actually been able to get off medication.
yes,
Wow.
absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
significant. Wow.
Mhm.
Now, in order to do that, just to follow into this, sorry, do they have to come daily, weekly,
So,
monthly?
with anything, it's a progression, right? You can't come in and one and done.
Yeah.
You have to be committed to some sessions. And what I usually tell people, especially that are dealing with some chronic issues, to do it at least 3 to 6 times about a week apart. I don't let anyone come in any sooner than a week because energetically it's too much. Their body can't really handle all that energy. So, yeah, I mean, chronic things, I recommend 6 to 10 sessions and do them every week or every other week. And usually by the end of the 10th session, people are on a totally different path in life. So,
See, it's always you got to keep going. That's what John said to me.
yeah,
I wanted the 6, and I was like, can we do it once?
yeah.
It's like, no, David, it's going to take you about 10 years.
Well, life is not
You
even
may
here.
never get there.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
There's thanks where we wouldn't go get there.
It is consistency, like a
Yeah.
91-year-old client. You have to keep going. You have to keep.
It is.
Well, and the thing is, I think we're programmed to wait till it's too late, and I saw that over and over again as a nurse. People come and, like he said, when I get to this point, then I'll do that.
Okay.
Well, it's too late at that point. You have to start being proactive for your health and your wellness, and you have to do things that are going to sort of circumvent these diseases and illnesses. And so you have to find things like frequencies and healing and eating right and all the things. So,
Yeah.
and exercising and stretching. You have to be very proactive. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a bad spot.
And I think the one thing that I have learned in the holistic approach is that it does take time. You have to be patient. Even like with exercise, it takes time. And we all want everything now. And a lot of our medication can heal stuff now. But what are the side effects of that? If you want to do it holistic, you have to be patient,
Yeah.
right? And with exercise, that's why people give up, don't they? Because they don't not seeing the results now. Like
Well, it takes time to get in your bad condition.
yeah,
Mhm.
But what the thing is the body's faithful though.
correct.
When you give it its space, and it does. And I think that's part of the philosophy. We talk about the real estate, the philosophy of the Low Country. I think philosophically, our approach is like when people talk about retirement. I've been around so many people that are retired and I've seen that trap, which is they waited
Yeah.
and then they get here and then they think when they retire, they actually kind of are stopping. And it's like, I've really adopted, at least internally, like I'm not going to stop until it's over, right? I don't know when it is, but my philosophy now is I'm just going to go as if this state I'm in now, I'm just going to keep it going as long as I can do it and never stop. But take that mental approach of like, that's just how I'm going to live,
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
So, John, what about you? I'm sure, whether I'm curious too with like stretching. Obviously, we know physical fitness,
Yeah.
but talk to me about like what are some of the success stories you've seen from people, coming out of,
I've been kicking that around in my head, and there's a number of my clients that came to me with in what they call prehab. In other words, their doctor tells them you have to have a knee replacement, you have to have a hip replacement, just get as strong and as flexible as possible so that when you go into surgery, you'll recover much quicker. And so people come to me and then they find that they don't need to have the surgery after all.
Wow.
So when they commit to improving their mobility and their flexibility and their strength, that they find that they don't need
That the body
they don't
actually
need
healed.
that they don't need the surgery. So that's always most rewarding for me.
Yeah.
One in particular was a Parkinson's patient also. And this gentleman had Parkinson's, severe case, very aggressive, and he was bedridden. And so started with him very slowly, just moving him in bed, and within a very short period of time, we got him up and got him standing, and actually got him in a chair and out onto the deck porch at his unit. And they'd been there 3 years. And he had never been on a porch, and they lived in
awesome.
water walk apartments,
Yeah.
looking out over the water, and he had never seen that.
Wow.
And so that's one of my favorite stories as well.
That's inspirational.
Yeah.
It just tells you, just whoever's watching or listening, it's never too late. Just keep going. Get in there and try it.
That's right.
Got to get in the game, Yeah.
Yeah,
What you got?
I think we've been programmed to think that our body cannot heal, right?
Yeah.
But it can under the right conditions. I mean, if you cut your finger, it heals. You break a bone, it heals. Why couldn't your body heal from any other thing, whether it's Parkinson's or anything? You just
Right.
you have to under the right conditions, it can. And when you do these things like flexibility and stretching and exercise and harmonic eggs or whatever you're doing, I mean, that's going to help prevent these things.
Well, we've been taught to be completely passive
Yeah.
in our healthcare.
Yeah.
Right.
Give our power away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be passive. I want to sit and give me a shot, give me a pill, give me medicine,
Give me a
give
surgery.
me surgery, and just
Yeah.
be passive as opposed to being active and proactive about our health.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. I agree.
Else, I'm not anti-medication, but it's just a Band-Aid. If you go to the doctor and you have high blood pressure, they're probably going to put you on an ACE inhibitor, lisinopril, and that's going to dilate your blood vessels and it's going to decrease your heart load, which is going to lower your blood pressure. So on paper, the data looks normal, but look at what you've had to do. You've manipulated your body for that data to
And
live
that's
normal.
not long lasting, is it?
And it's not long-lasting.
That's a Band-Aid, not the
Right, it
root
hasn't got
cause.
to the root cause, and that's the problem. To me, I mean, what I've seen, there's probably 6 root causes of all disease and illnesses from my experience as a nurse.
What are those 6?
Yeah, tell us.
Oh, you
Yeah. We can't drop it. Not telling. Okay.
that's a tease.
that is the truth. Next episode. Okay, 6 root cause. So this is in my experience. Number 1 is probably going to be a leaky gut.
Yes.
Leaky gut is just a disruption of the microbiome of the gut. And that's caused from medications. It's caused from our poor diet. It's caused from, I hate to say it, the alcohol. It's caused from alcohol. And so a leaky gut is going to cause an increased permeability. And so what happens is these toxins get into our bloodstream. Okay. And so that's going to lead to number 2, which is chronic inflammation in the body. Chronic inflammation in the body is going to be, it's going to cause brain fog. It can cause fatigue. It can cause pain. Number 3, it's probably going to be an overgrowth of something in the body, an overgrowth of a virus, an overgrowth of mold, an overgrowth of parasites, something like that. Number 4 is probably going to be heavy metals. So we are bombarded with heavy metals. If you're my age, you might have amalgam fillings, the old mercury fillings. Those leak into the system. Aluminum, we cook with aluminum foil.
Yeah.
There's cadmium, there's arsenic, and all these things are found in actually our food. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Let's don't get us started on that.
I know. Well, and
That's another episode.
it's in our makeup. It's
Right.
it's in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next one would probably be, again, processed chemicals, processed foods, things, the glyphosate, all the stuff that's leaking into our food system and our food supply, the pharmaceuticals that are in our water supply, all the things, right?
Yeah.
How many is that? 5?
That's 5.
6. Okay, number 6 is trapped emotions.
Oh,
Mm.
Trapped
yes.
emotions in the body. It's energy. It's stuck energy. And sometimes I have people come in who are very, they have a lot of back pain. And when we really get down to the root of it, maybe they're just having some financial issues, where financial issues, that energy is actually stored in the lower back.
Wow.
So when we can get to the root of that and we do some drumming and we recognize what that is, that back pain just goes away.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did their financial issues go away?
Yeah.
But,
Me to the eggs.
yeah, but bringing their awareness to that so that
Yeah.
they have maybe a different relationship with money,
Yeah.
because money is just energy. We have to realize that it's
Yeah.
just an energy exchange. We think of it as a piece of paper or digital numbers in a computer,
Yeah.
but it's just energy like everything else. And so when you see it that way, it comes and it goes, it comes and it goes.
Yeah.
You have a different relationship with it, and then your energy towards it shifts. Then your energy is going to shift towards that, and whatever frequency that you were holding in your body is going to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great way to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mhm.
awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing those.
Those are the 6.
6.
That's good stuff.
We'll
6,
put
yeah.
that up.
That's good stuff.
So when we were talking about that, I wanted to bring Reiki and the chakras into it, because we've kind of touched a little bit on it. Would
Yeah.
you share a little bit about the Reiki?
The Reiki energy.
Yeah,
chakras.
Reiki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Reiki energy has been around for probably a long time. It originates in Japan in 1922. I think it was brought to America, and there was, of course, we tweaked it like we do everything else, like yoga and all the
Yeah.
things that we Americanized. But the Reiki practitioners basically are people who can tap into that subtle energy body, which what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Most of them are intuitive, and most of them can feel that energy. And so they're working with your chakras. And chakras is just basically they're your spiritual organs, is what I like to call them.
Okay.
And with that, there's 7 main chakras. And so when you have an imbalance in your chakra in that energy field, it can manifest into physical symptoms in the body.
Okay.
And so a Reiki practitioner could come in and again intuit and know and feel your energy, feel where there's a block, move that energy around, and help balance out your chakras. And when they do that, you leave feeling centered, grounded, similar to like when you get out of the egg,
Okay.
but it's subtler, but very profound though.
It's amazing how all of it's so integrated.
Mm-hmm.
You have a block here and it causes a physical ailment
Mhm.
somewhere else, and
Absolutely.
we don't realize, instead of taking medication or anything, we can just unblock it
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we're fine.
Yeah. So, for instance, your root chakra is all about your groundedness. You're connected to earth. It's survival. It's your eating, your security, your safety, your support system around you, whether you have a place to live. And right now, there's a lot of insecurity in the world, right? So I would think
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody.
This is 2024.
Yeah.
Oh, future.
Yeah. So there's a lot of insecurity. There's a lot of stability, and
Yeah.
people are feeling that unstable, and so everybody's root chakra is probably out of balance.
Okay.
And so when you can bring that back into alignment, it just helps overall physically, mentally, spiritually, all of that.
So it's funny because as we talk about this, I can't help but imagine we deal with folks from all over the place, like literally. And America's a big place, and actually we deal with international clients too, right? So diverse thoughts, diverse experiences, diverse religious backgrounds or what have you. How do you find like when people come to the area? Because we're a mix. I mean, this is a melting pot of a lot of people. You find that people are here. How do they, when they hear these, like for the first time, Reiki and chakras and stuff, do they kind of look at you a little squonk or,
Sometimes, but I feel like it's the people that come to the egg and come for Reiki and come for chakra balancing are already in that frequency.
Okay.
They're already in tune to that. They already may know about it or feel like it can help them. Just like everything else, when I go into, I don't even like to call it work because I don't consider it work. But when I go into the egg, I set the intention, and I really have an intention for whoever that the egg can help the most, then have them find this place.
Okay.
Because it's not going to be for everybody.
Right.
It's not cookie cutter. Would everybody benefit from the egg? Absolutely. But is everybody going to resonate with the egg? No, they're not. And that's okay. Like, I feel like it brings in the people that really are going to get it and get the most out of it.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably true in anything, right? Like if you don't believe in it, like if I don't believe in working out and stretching, I go and I don't get any effort, I'm not going to get any results, right?
Yeah.
So like, if I don't really, I think it's kabuki, I'm
Mm.
going to go in and really not benefit, you know?
I mean, I don't know necessarily that you have to believe for it
Okay.
to work. It's
Okay.
going to work. I mean, Don can stretch you. It isn't just because you don't believe that your muscles aren't
Fair
stretching.
point. Yeah.
You know, he can stretch you. Same thing with the egg. It's going to work on your energy field whether you believe it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
But I just feel like there are people that come in that really, really get what it's doing and really want to and know how to work with the energy
Yeah.
to their benefit.
Yeah. What do you
So
got?
I was going to ask you, we're talking about energy. How do you see the relationship between physical fitness and energy in
Now that you've been here,
promoting the
that's good.
overall health and longevity? Like,
Well, I think we're all physical beings. You know, I mean, on some level, we're all physical, and the body is meant to move, and the body is meant to work and the body functions at a much higher level when we do. And going back to an earlier thought is that a lot of people come down here that haven't moved for 35 years.
Mhm.
You know, they haven't moved for 35 years, and so when they do start moving, their body just starts behaving in ways that they haven't experienced in years, you know, and so it just leads to other areas of exploration, spiritual. I get that all the time. People come down here and then again they feel like I'm going to play golf every day. I'm going to play pickleball. I'm going to do this, and they neglect their spiritual health, and they turn around three years later and they're just as empty as they were,
Mm.
you know. So as when they arrived, and so they start searching that way as well.
Yeah.
So,
So they kind of it spills over a little bit. Yeah.
mhm.
That's good. All right. Well,
what else do we have here?
well, yeah. I want to know about the future trends. Like, all right, where do you guys see the work that you're doing? Do you see anything in the horizon? Obviously, nowadays there's a lot of advancement on a lot of levels. You almost see people too talking about how integration of technology and the human,
Sure.
things like that. Where do you see any future advancements in both your fields going? And do you see anything coming down the pike that people might be interested in?
For energy work, definitely. I see it in the Google search on my own website and just in the last 4 years, 3 years that I've been open, and just the uptick of inquiries about people researching energy work, frequencies. There's so many other modalities coming up that uses frequency to help heal the body.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the PEMF mat, there's the biofield, there's the biowell, there's the
biocharger,
there's the AO system, there's the EE system. I mean, all these things are all frequency based, and so it's out there.
So you see it more
there.
advancing, and
Oh,
are
yeah.
we in the infancy stage, you think?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're barely even crawling.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just going to get better.
Funny that you mentioned that because I go to a holistic doctor as well. Instead of doing blood tests or, usually the doctor takes you and checks your blood work to make sure everything's okay. I literally put my hand on a device that reads the frequency of my body, or she puts something in my ears, which is reading the whole frequency and gives me more of an in-depth review of what's going on at a cellular level.
Absolutely.
And then she addresses that every visit that I go to, because it's the root cause of something. So the technology is out there. It's just whether it's used.
Yeah.
Well, the AO scan.
There's a paradigm shift that's coming, but it takes a long time. It takes a long time for people to put down that pill and to do something more holistic because of just what you said. It takes longer, and you have to do the work.
It is
when you take a pill. If the work's done for you.
Yeah.
This holds you accountable. It makes you, again, talk about self-awareness. To me, that is the first step on any healing journey. You have to become self-aware of your patterns, your programming, what you're putting in your mouth, what you watch, what you listen to, because it's all energy. It's all a frequency.
Yeah.
And it all affects you.
And it affects you on profound levels. Yeah.
Yeah. The aging population is they're looking for, we talk often about when our grandparents or our parents were our age, they seemed so much older, you know. And now people that are at retirement age, they don't want to settle for that. And so they're looking for different things. And I think that's only going to get bigger and bigger.
So is the innovation a mindset shift?
I think so.
Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah. And I think, Shimber, you brought it a couple times that like we've kind of been programmed. And I feel like the programming is wore off a little bit. Maybe it's just because of the internet. You got more podcasts and blogs. You got all, there's so much more information now that you never had before. So I think, the mindset, and I've noticed that even with our clients, that there is a mindset shift, and there's a curiosity too, and you talk to them about it, and they're like, oh, that's why we wanted to bring this to them, too. It's like, hey, this is out there, and it's here, and so.
And I think not just with the retirement folks, but either with our younger folks, our age or even younger, everybody's looking to find what can I do to improve my health.
Yeah,
Right.
they're hungry for something different
Exactly.
because the status quo isn't
It's not
working
working.
anymore.
That's right.
And they're realizing that. They're
Yes.
finally waking up like this doesn't work, and people want to feel better in their body.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you got anything else you want to talk about?
So I do. So last thing, how can individuals stay updated and continue to grow in each of your areas?
Updated.
Yeah.
Well, they can follow me on Instagram.
Okay.
One
that's great.
thing,
How
I'm on
how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, because I really try to obviously stay up to date on all the new things that are coming down the pipe with frequency and even with the egg, we're constantly upgrading the music to
I
have.
noticed that. I never hear the same music.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
asking for the same thing. It's different
it's
music.
different, but we
Yeah.
phase out the older music and we bring in new music that's high frequency, high vibration. The music we have just recently downloaded is from Peru,
Okay.
actually, and it's very interesting. This musician there, again, we record all the musicians and stuff. We hire them. Me, I don't. Gail
Gail.
does, and she. So there's a lot of intention behind this music. They're bringing in the elements of the earth and indigenous instruments, and so the frequency of this music is so high. So we're just kind of keeping up that way, so that we're always expanding and growing and seeing what's coming for the egg. And the egg itself is always the vibration of the egg is also raising.
Explain that because we never touched on that. Explain how she grows, her vibration
How she
grows since she first started.
Yeah. Well,
Refer to her as she.
it is a she. I've named her Allie. Alafia is her name,
Alafia.
which means state of peace, health, and well-being. Allie. So, and this might be a little out there and a little woo-woo for some people, but I'm gonna go there anyway.
Let's do it.
It's okay.
So, well, again, we're talking about the quantum field, right? And we live in a holographic fractal universe where every part contains the whole. So that's how everything is connected. And so, as more and more harmonic eggs get online, there's a connectedness even to the harmonic eggs, and I feel they're strategically being placed in lands and in countries that need healing, and also to help anchor in more divine feminine energy on the planet because they're eggs. And we need more feminine energy on the planet. So, but to answer that question, as more and more eggs get online, their frequency raises, their vibration raises, and as more people get into the egg, more clients that I have, that also expands the frequency of the egg, and because we're using higher frequency music. Yeah, and so we've tested the frequency, and right now, just the egg alone sits at about 1,500 hertz.
Wow.
Just her.
Wow.
But being a sacred geometrical shape, there's an interesting physician, Dr. Abraham Karim. He's studied biogeometry, which is fascinating. And basically, he's studying geometrical shapes and its effects on the human body. So just meditating on a sacred geometrical shape is going to have profound impacts on your physical health and basically on just how your body functions. And so the egg is obviously sacred geometrical shape. And so his work is very fascinating. So, yeah, I think too, we have to open our minds a little bit for these new modalities coming in, and we can't say, oh, that's ridiculous, which is one of the things that a hurdle that I have to get across, is to try to convince people, but just open their minds a little bit more to, there's more out there than just, again, the physical body. We only see 1% of the electromagnetic field.
Yeah.
1% we see
Visually.
visually.
Yeah.
1%.
Yeah. That's
So
pretty wild. When you think about it.
99% we
Yeah.
don't see. I mean, this seems like it's empty space between us, but it is packed full of information.
Yeah.
And same thing with the auditory. We hear from about
Yeah. Very small.
10, like about 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, and that's it.
Yeah.
So we're limited by our senses,
Yeah.
and everything is filtered through our senses, but there's a whole world outside of that we have to acknowledge.
That's a whole nother
deep.
episode. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's Florida. That's right.
Be back and we can talk quantum physics.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's funny because when you were talking about, Dale and I, we have a long history in ministry and stuff like that back in the day. And I remember one time I was meditating and I had this vision about South Carolina coast. This is before we even were going to move here, that healing was going to come out of this area because this port, Charleston, was the first port where like the first slaves were bought and sold. And and it just, all permeated in that this was going to be a source of healing for the whole country too, or that wrong and that introduction of that whole concept here was going to be healed here.
Yeah.
It was going to come out of this coastland, out of these lands. And when you said that, it literally, I got goosebumps because that just flashed back into my memory. I wrote it in my journal thinking, wow, that's interesting. And that's when we were in Charlotte still, so that resonates with me.
Yeah. I also feel like that's part of the reason why the harmonic eggs are here to help heal the land.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's cool. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, John, same question for you.
Well, I would say that the science of exercise is always changing, is always evolving as we learn more and more about the human body. What used to be commonplace or standard practice is now antiquated, And one of the things that I educate my clients is that no longer do we work under the guise of no pain, no gain.
Okay.
And so many people, I think, they avoid exercise and wellness because they think that it has to be painful in order to be
Successful,
productive. And so that, I think, is especially that is the area that I like to work with my clients, is in educating that doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Well, guys, this has been an amazing, awesome episode, I got to tell you. And thank you so much for being here with us. We're going to put your contact information at the end of the episode.
Okay.
But if you have anything particular you want to highlight, what's the best way to get a hold of you? Is it your websites? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram?
Email me.
Email?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's that email real quick?
That's therafithhi@gmail.
Which we'll put on the screen.
And for me, it's probably just call me.
Okay.
Yeah, my number is 843-694-4205.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram. It's lowcountry harmonic egg. I'm on Facebook as well. I have a website, lowcountryharmonicegg.com.
And what are people because we have 3.5 million people are visiting, a year. Do you get a lot of that where people come in and be like, hey, because I'm sure the harmonic egg's not everywhere. So if you're in town, go. And if you've never been to a stretch.
Yeah, I'd be certainly open to that. I don't see a lot of visitors, but
you don't. Okay.
No, but I certainly would be.
Yeah.
Most of my clients are locals. I have regulars like you guys.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I'll get some, people who are just visiting. They find me on Travelocity or whatever it is. There's some things out there that I didn't even know I was on that TripAdvisor or whatever it is.
Encourage everybody. Because we want to talk to those people, because a lot of our people that we get to work with, they're just dipping their toes in the area, right? So I would say, don't just come and say, I'm going to go look at X community or whatever, just go check out the beach. Because this is what makes the low country low country.
Yeah.
This
Check
is
out the lifestyle.
It is. And it's a state of mind. Yeah. It's a state of being. Yeah. It's a state of consciousness. And so if you're going to come and explore and consider living here, come and say, hey, dip your toes into what that aspect would look like, So, but we really appreciate you both.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Thanks
for having me.
Thanks very much.
This episode is brought to you by the David Dale team, powered by eXp Realty in Hilton Head. Stay tuned and keep an eye out for future episodes. where we'll continue exploring the hidden gems, local stories, and unique lifestyle of the coastal Carolina Lowcountry.